What is up, guys? We're back at it again with the semifinals. We have Alec versus Alan, the double A's, the I guess the double A. Yeah, we would call it the double A. This is the double A semifinals. This is a league that I'm just really getting so much enjoyment out of watching because I love the competitors. They're super strong-willed. They're super knowledgeable, and it's just great. So what we're gonna do real quick before I go over everything else is I'm gonna go ahead and introduce the players and get them to go ahead and say a little something about themselves. I'm going to go over to the higher drawn player real quick, which is Alan. Alan, how excited are you to be in the semifinals, man?
Super excited to be in the semifinals. Never thought I'd be here, so I'm super excited to get this going. I know Alec is a great competitor, but somebody's got to go home and losing. So we'll see what happens today. Hopefully, it's not me.
All right, I love it, Alan. I love your competitive, man. It's so good. You're very gentlemanly. We're gonna go over and hear what Alec has to say, man. You had a KO the first round. Alec, how you feeling about being here, man? Are you ready to win? Are you gonna put up a fight? This is the semifinals. Let's go, man.
This is the semifinals. I don't normally do these matches on Friday, so you have to see my fuel here, guys. I'm ready to go. Alan was exactly right. He had it right on the nose. Somebody has to go home. Somebody has to lose, and unfortunately, it is going to be him. I do not take my knockout against Travis lightly, and I'm not going to take my opponent here lightly, but I am pretty confident in the fact that I'm going to win tonight.
Hell yeah, I love the confidence, guys. This is what I'm talking about. It's going to be a slobber knocker. And of course, I'm not here doing it myself. I'm going to go to the first judge that I'm going to go to first for the first question. Matt, are you excited to be judging the semifinals of Nerd Fight, this brand new division of movie battlegrounds?
Oh, you have no idea. I've been a nerd since basically I can walk. If I get to sit back and listen to people, talk about the things I love, why shouldn't I be? And both of them with first round knockouts, somebody's going home. But is it going to be a win or is it going to be a knockout? I can't wait to find out.
Absolutely, man. I'm so excited for this. Like, I am beyond excited. Andrea, how are you feeling being in the semifinals, getting ready to judge this match? Are you ready? Are you ready to see some fireworks? Just ready?
Yeah, definitely, man. This is gonna be like, since they both each have a knockout, I'm expecting this to be a big, big slobber knocker, man.
Absolutely. It's going to be haymaker after haymaker, or in the nerd worlds, we're going to say it's going to be vibranium versus antimantium. Yeah, I didn't say that right at all. It's okay. I don't care. Hate me in the comics. Let's get it down. Let's break it down the rules for you guys real quick. We have four main rounds. We have a 90-second opener, 5-minute debate round, 60-second closure. In that time frame, if they want to use it in their opening or their closing, they have a minute extension. I advise them maybe if they think that they need a little extra time or if they fell behind. This is going to be something that they might need. Use that minute extension for your opening or closing. We'll get to the speed round if we have to. I don't know. I think it's going to be a speed round type of day, guys. It's going to be that slobber knocker. And we have two gentlemen on the panel, but in case these gentlemen get a little out of hand, we do have the timeout rule, and that's a 10-second timeout, which the clock will still roll, and until they stop talking, their 10 seconds doesn't start. So if they continue to go on for another 10 seconds while I can't wrangle them in, I'll be able to wrangle them in before them. But if they can't, then their 10 seconds starts at that 10 seconds when they stop talking. So that's 26. That's 20 seconds wasted. But anyway, I'm tired of talking. I want to see this debate happen. And first category is Harry Potter. Guys, whose death in the Harry Potter series is the hardest to watch? And you know who I'm going to first? I'm going to the higher drawn competitor first. And Alan, tell me whose death was the hardest to watch.
The hardest death to watch in all the Harry Potter seasons, without a doubt, is Cedric Diggory. Okay, on a relatable level, if you're reading about the character or watching that character, if you're in school as Harry and all of the classmates were, there's always that one student that was the best, the one that everybody knew, the most popular, always the one that kept you second was that person. And Cedric was that guy for Harry and all of the students at Hogwarts. And it was the first time that Harry dealt with death face on. He saw Cedric die and saw it from not only just a random death, but Voldemort, he who should not be named, the person that everybody dreaded was going to make a comeback. He came back, and his first thing he did, he killed Cedric. Cedric was the first victim of the new era of Voldemort, and Harry watched it. Not only did he watch it, in the book, he tries to save him. In the movie, not so much, but he was there, and he couldn't do anything. He couldn't do anything to save Cedric. He had to watch him die. So it was the first time Harry saw death face on. It was the first time he saw a student die, his fellow student. So that meant more to him, to everybody, that, oh no, this is real. Everyone was scared of Voldemort. Here he is, and now he's killed Cedric. I watched it happen. I watched this guy die, who, as Harry, who just helped me save my classmates. And now here he is, he's dead, and it's my fault. I couldn't do anything to stop it.
Whew, that was a hell of an argument by Alan for Cedric Diggory and why his was the hardest to watch. We're going to go over to Alec. Alec, fill me in, man. Who are you picking as the hardest death to watch in the Harry Potter series, and why? And you got 90 seconds on the clock when you start talking.
All right, guys. There are a lot of deaths in the Harry Potter movies. The hardest one to watch by far is for sure Severus Snape's. To me, that is one of the hardest deaths to watch in the entire series because of the fact that it's so intimate, it's so personal, and you go from not really like, you kind of know the character, you might like him, you might not like him, but he's kind of in between. But literally in his death scene, he not only turns you into seeing, okay, maybe he's not as bad as he once was, but you end up, personally for me, you end up loving that character. Maybe he's one of my favorite characters, and then you lose him all in one go. The death with Nagini is still kind of hard to watch with the striking, with the strikes from her, the bleeding out, and all the memories that he shows Harry. And it's super impactful. It hits you to your core if you have feelings. And me personally, I have a lot of feelings. So whenever this death happens, man, it always hits. It always hurts, especially whenever at the very end when he says always. It's killer, man. So that is the reason why I'm going to say that Severus Snape's death is the hardest to watch.
All right, I love it. Before time, he wraps it up in a nice, pretty bow, serving it to Alan. Before the debate round, Alan came in strong with Cedric Diggory, and Alan came in strong with Severus Snape. So this is going to be a hell of a debate. And guys, we got 5 minutes on the board when one of you start talking. Tell us, whose death was worse to watch, Cedric Diggory's or Severus Snape?
Now, Alan, I can see why you say Cedric's is hard to watch. It's the first death you experience really as a fan of Harry Potter when you start watching, when you start reading. It's the first death you experience. But to me, he's kind of a character that he shows up a couple times, and I'm going straight off the movies. Kind of shows up a couple times. He doesn't really catch my attention. Doesn't really get anything for me. With Snape, it's just, it hits so hard because you have all the memories, all the love that you even think he at the end of it, you think he feels that he had for Harry. Even though that happened like later, but it hurts even more. Like that death scene stretches all the way to out where you see the memories, I think, which makes it really hard to watch. Go ahead.
True. But with Cedric, he only popped up a couple of times, but in key moments. You knew exactly who he was as a character in those few scenes that he had. And he wasn't a bad guy. He was a good guy. He was a good student. He was loyal to everybody. He was friendly. Even though he knew he was the best, he was still a good guy. He wasn't the dumb jock who just went around messing with all the dorks. He was a good guy, and he did not deserve to die. And he died in the most ruthless way possible. From the ultimate villain, everyone's dreading the return of Voldemort. Voldemort comes back, and the first thing he does is he kills a child. And Harry watches that and sees that. And we as the audience, we see that. And we see the look on Harry's face, the character who we're most closest with. And he can't do anything about it. He sees, okay, this is the threat that this poses. With Snape, when Snape died, he knew it was going to happen. Everybody kind of knew it was going to happen. And you've got all these movies to set up Snape as a villain. I personally, I got feelings, bro, but I cannot stand Snape. I'm never on the side of Snape. He's always a whiny little snivering punk. Severus snivering is the same thing to me. And the fact that he died because he was still in love with Harry's mom, and that's why he was a jerk to Harry this whole time. Man, let the snake eat him.
Okay. The thing is, I understand what you're saying, but he was who he had to be in order to keep his eye and to protect Harry. That's why what he does at the end, when he does that, it has an impact, because of the fact that there's a point in the memory where he literally challenges Dumbledore, and that's one of my favorite things about Severus is he challenges Dumbledore and saying, like, why are you doing this to this kid, blah blah blah, all that stuff. And so whenever he dies, and why he died, he literally died because he was just there. He was murdered because of Voldemort's greed and because of Voldemort's lust for power. He wanted the Elder Wand. He wanted the Elder Wand, and he had to kill the previous owner. He thought that Snape was the one that did it. So not only did he die mistakenly, but he died, going down as someone who never betrayed who he was trying to cover, which was Dumbledore the entire time, doing everything Dumbledore asked. He was a loyal servant to the very end in terms of Dumbledore. Don't worry about him being a loyal servant to Snape. That's later. I mean, to Voldemort, that's later. This is because of what happens now with Cedric. I agree. He's kind of just, he's not a bad guy, but he's not really. I mean, he's a good guy, kind of. He helps out Harry a few times, but even at the end of that maze, he was literally willing to do any. He at one point pushed Harry. They both were going crazy for that cup. So he wasn't always the greatest. He wasn't always the best. He kind of was just a person. And maybe like that hurts you. That doesn't hurt me. It's kind of a character being, he was kind of there, kind of got killed for no reason. Sure. But it's not as impactful and as hard to watch. Those snakes, that snake strikes, I'm sorry, that's really hard to watch. As someone who had snakes used to living in his house, like that's so hard to watch. Seeing a snake strike that fast and that mercilessly, it impacts me every time.
The seeing Cedric get hit with the unforgivable curse, the curse that everyone's afraid of, from the person that everyone is afraid of and no one believed was going to come back, and to see the incarnation, the physicality through the films of Ralph Fiennes, and in that makeup. With that voice, I mean, Voldemort is super imposing. The way he dances around by the maze and then just unleashes hell upon poor Cedric, and nobody can do anything about it. That is far more terrifying to me. The snake, yeah, it's a little bit scary, but I can theoretically outrun a snake. I can't outrun Voldemort, and I can't outrun that curse. That curse came hard, fast, and with lethal intention, and it did exactly that. Killed a young man who did not deserve to die.
The curse came hard, but it just was really fast. It just kind of went out of the way, and then we're at
time. Time.
I saw the countdown going.
Oh man, guys. Whew. I am not envious that I have to go first in this. We got the closing coming up, and we started with Alan, so we're going to go ahead and him for the closing. Alan, you have 60 seconds on the clock. When you start talking, please tell us why Cedric Diggory's death is the hardest to watch in the entire Harry Potter series.
Cedric's death is the hardest to watch because you're looking at youth and innocence and a potential hero. Yeah, he was a competitor with Harry, but he was a potential hero because he would have fought with Harry to try to defeat Voldemort, but he was not given that opportunity. He was taken down with the most fearful curse by the most fearful man, the most fearful entity in Voldemort. They can't even say his name. That's how much they're scared of him. And this is the first thing he does when he comes back to life is he kills a child, a potential ally, a potential hero, a potential great friend to Harry, and he is dead, an innocent child. And it is the hardest thing to watch. As a father of 2 children, the idea of me sending my kids to a school where he's supposed to learn and learn to protect others and himself, and he dies by the most ultimate evil that I never thought
10
could happen to find my school, that was the most difficult thing to watch by far.
Time.
All right. Alan cleaned it up. But we're going to go over to Alec. Alec, 60 seconds on the board. Tell us why Severus Snape is the hardest death to watch in the Harry Potter series.
With Cedric Diggory, we did lose a potential hero, but in Severus Snape, we lost someone who was willing to do whatever it took to ensure that Voldemort did not get everything that he needed to get. So when he died, it hits hard because of the fact that he was doing he did the hard things. He had to kill Dumbledore. He had to get Malfoy ready to do certain things that he might not have wanted to do. He had to do all this and continue to be a spy for Dumbledore against Voldemort. So we lost a actual hero, someone who died for the cause. He died for the cause. That entire scene, it counts as his death because you have to see who he was as a child and how he got to where he was lost later on as an adult, and then ended up coming back because of the deaths that he had to basically watch. And he did everything he had to do. With Cedric, we lost a potential hero, but it was fast and it was quick. With Snape's, it was a snake, and Voldemort wanted him to feel that.
Time.
All right. Like I said, this is going to be one slobber knocker of a match. And I'm so glad that I don't have to make the decision first. I get to go to Matt for that. So, Matt, make some sense of this for me, man. Who won this in your opinion? Was it Alec with Severus Snape, or was it Alan with Cedric Diggory, or was it Alan with Cedric Diggory and Alec with Severus Snape? I don't want to lean anybody to any which way. No, but what are you feeling? Where's your mindset on this one?
Yeah, you were right. This was definitely back and forth. I was literally on the fence until Alan brought something up. Sending your kid away to a different school where you're not at, and him dying. Being a father to an only parent to a kid myself, that right there, when he said that, that set the point up. So I'm going with Alan with Cedric Diggory.
All right, Alan's got one. Andrew, where are you feeling? Make some sense of this for me. Am I going to have to vote, or are we making Alan's first point in this match? Where you at? Where's your head?
Okay, this is definitely a semi-final, if I can say so myself, because this is definitely hard. But if I had to make a choice, I would have to go with Alex. So you have to vote on this one because when he said that Severus Snape was actually willing to do whatever it took, and he had to be who he had to be to protect Harry. I think that is he wasn't able to really fully counter that particular argument. So I'm gonna have to go with Alec on this one.
Okay. All right. And for me, it came down to a few points. Unfortunately, Alan, when you came down to it, you had a great argument for Cedric Diggory. You really did. I was with you all the way. I was looking for you to counter one point, and it was the fact that Alec brought up his entire mission of Severus Snape was to be this. So Alec is getting my point for this round, and that is the reason why. And we're going to jump right into question 2, guys. This is, like I said, it's a semifinal, and it's that much of a semifinal because it is a barn burner. It is a haymaker after haymaker, and this one's going to be just as good. In the realm of sci-fi, which sci-fi franchise has better elements of real-world issues? Yeah, we brought it there, guys. We brought it there. And we're going to go over to Alec first. Alec, 90 seconds on the clock when you start talking.
All right, guys. When we think of real-world issues in movies, you're always afraid of possibly preaching, possibly having something shoved down your throat. You know how to ensure not to do that? You add in superheroes, guys. You bring in the X-Men. You have basically 2 different characters in terms of where they are in real life. You have Professor X, who is the Martin Luther King Jr., and you have Magneto, who is the Malcolm X. You have these 2 people that are basically fighting for the exact same thing, but going about it in 2 different ways. It's the exact same thing that we got back in the civil rights era with Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. You had 2 people that were trying to fight for their people, trying to fight for basically, equal rights for their own people, but them going at it in two different ways. Yeah, and to put it on top that they're best friends before they broke apart. As most people know, Martin Luther King really did not like Malcolm X's tactics, and so he basically, kind of told him like, no, I'm not with that guy. This is what I want. I want equal rights. Whereas Magneto / Malcolm X wanted to go about it in different way, basically saying that his people are the superior people and going about it. And if you have to kill, if you have to hurt people to get what you want, he was willing to do that. Whereas you have Professor X / Martin Luther King Jr. that believed that they could live together in peace and harmony. And boom, that's an open right there.
And time. All right, Alan, tell me which sci-fi franchise you're bringing up to bat against the X-Men for real-world issues.
There's only one sci-fi franchise that covers every single real-world issue you can possibly imagine, and that is, of course, Star Trek. It covers everything: racism, classism, sexism, different diversities, oppression, unity, resource management, environmentalism, everything that people deal with, every single issue you can possibly think of. It's been covered in Star Trek, and it gives us insight and perspective on how to deal with those issues, potential issues that some issues might not ever be solved in our world. Racism might not be ever solved in our world, but we have to deal with it as humanity. And Star Trek shows us this is a way, a potentiality to deal with those real world issues. It gives us some perspective, some insight, some ways of looking at it that we wouldn't look at it through our blinders. You've got every single starship going to dealing with every single one of these issues, depending on the new place they explore. And exploration, a human issue that we all deal with. We want that need to explore, to discover what's out there. And then what happens when we get there, when we discover these new things? How do we deal with that? People do that every single day, going to work, going to school, going back home. We're dealing with these different issues every single day. And a lot of these issues we don't know how to deal with. Well, maybe I can get some insight somewhere on what maybe I could do. Star Trek's got the answer for you. So they've got building blocks to help you with the next answer. So Star Trek covers all of it.
All right. Whew. This is gonna
scratch that from the record, guys. Scratch that from the record.
This is gonna be an interesting 5-minute debate. We have Star Trek versus X-Men. Guys, 5 minutes on the board when you start talking. Tell me which sci-fi franchise has better elements of real-world issues. And 5 minutes on the board when you start talking.
You've got one with the X-Men. Really, it's diversity and really it's racism. With Star Trek, you've got everything. They deal with racism and then they go on to the next thing with classism, which is really more important, especially with a lot of the X-Men that they don't cover is the issue of classism, really. But with Star Trek, they do. The main thing with the Prime Directive. Just because we can help someone doesn't mean we should. The X-Men kind of jump in no matter what. I know they've got the whole, we help the people but they fear us, but they still keep going. They keep pressing on. Star Trek even questions whether we should do that. And that's just the one issue with the classism or the sexism, racism that the X-Men deal with. And then Star Trek covers so much more.
But you said it right there. They deal with it and then they move on. They let it. They'll drop it until they get to another planet that's dealing with the exact same thing, and then we'll cover it again. With the X-Men, they cover probably one of their biggest problems in this country, which is racism, which is diversity, and it's something that needs to be brought up. And you bring it, and the fact that you can bring it into the light so subtly, so like with such nuance, because of the fact that it's a superhero movie, it's a superhero franchise, but it deals with these issues, like you said. We have to help them, even though they hate us. Having to help someone that doesn't like you has to be one of the hardest things. Probably one of the great pictures in history is of African American nurse helping a Klansman who is injured because of the fact that that's their job. It's something they have to do, and that's what the X-Men does. Is it brings up that point that no matter what, we're humans, we're people. We all on this planet. We should all coexist, do all that. But with Star Trek, you cover all those things. But in terms of the TV show, it's one hour episode, and then another hour episode, you're going to a different thing. Another hour episode, you're going to a different thing. I might forget about what you just talked about. Whereas with the X-Men, it's always prevalent in my mind. It's always up here, always thinking about it.
But with Star Trek, I think the main thing is they try to not only just help them, even though the person is resisting it, they try to use other tactics. We're going to work with these people. They might hate us, but we're going to work with them to see how they can help themselves. They can better themselves. There's not one tactic or one way that they can help with any issue. There's multiple different ways to do it. And some maybe they haven't even thought of, and maybe these people have the answer. They just don't know how to find it. So they help them to find those answers and use the resources that they have. And it's not just about people hating each other. It's about, if we can't answer the call for this thing, this probe that's going to destroy many, many planets. If we can't find the answers to this, what's going to happen? Oh, maybe we need to look at different ways. Maybe it's not people. Oh, it's whales. This sound is a probe from a whale. That's something we would never have discovered had we not had the ingenuity to look for these answers in different places. And so they find that. And of course, you've got your space battles and that sort of thing to help out. But it's really to try to get people to help themselves, to figure out the way that they can solve their problems themselves.
And space battles are great. Everyone loves space battles. However, with X-Men, it hits on the one issue. I'll give you that one. It does hit on the one issue, but it hits on it so hard. It hits on it in a way that is just really kind of genius. It gets that issue in people's heads that might not even be thinking about that issue. And you hit it, and you get to see both sides of it. You get to see both sides and feel for why Magneto might be right some of the times and why Professor X might be right some of the times. You get to see that back and forth between those two. Similar to if I was alive at the time, I'm assuming what it was like with Malcolm X and Martin Luther, getting together and having to basically argue about why their way is right, why it's not. With Star Trek, I see what you're saying with the coming together and all that, but that sounds like something maybe in our future. I've seen that in all our movies where all the countries had to band together. I just watched a foreign movie where all the countries had to come together and create a world engine that basically had the Earth going through, Earth, and going through space, and that was cool. But we're not there yet with this. We're here. It's a prevalent issue that we're dealing with at this moment, and that we're still dealing with to this day. And it's
still
something
dealing with this. Still dealing with it to the day, but then as far as the film franchise of the X-Men, they ran out of ways to talk about that issue, as we see with the film.
We're not talking about the films. We're talking about the franchise. We're talking about the future of the films. The future of the Star Trek films are also in question. Let's just say that also. But with with this, oh wait, sorry.
Time.
All right, time, guys. Oh, this is gonna be lovely. You guys really are not making this easy for any of the judges on the panel. Just letting you know. But you know what? I love that because it proves how much you guys love these topics. And that's what I really love to see. So it's going to be Alec going up first for his closing. Alec, please tell us why X-Men. It's the better sci-fi franchise that deals with real-world issues.
It's the better sci-fi franchise that deals with real-world issues because of the fact that for younger people like me that weren't alive to see the horrific things that this country did to people of color, and that I wouldn't have even been able to encounter because of the race that I am. Seeing it in this world where it's kind of explained in a great way to get it through my head and realize that not everybody is liked, and sometimes it doesn't even matter what you do. You could be a hero and still be hated, and to see like that it's just because of that reason of who you are as a person that you can't change. With Star Trek, yes, it deals with a lot of things, but it also deals with them in one episode, one by one, one movie. It doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't have the time to really hit on that issue to as much as you'd want. With X-Men, you constantly have that back and forth between Magneto, Malcolm X, and Martin Luther King, which is Professor X.
Time's up. All right, Alec, you hit it with strong points. We're going to pass it over to Alan. Alan, tell us why Star Trek is a sci-fi franchise that has better elements of real-world issues.
Just with the question itself, what better elements of real world issues, not one issue, but many issues. Of course, a lot of times those issues kind of go into one another, and Star Trek deals with those. Every single issue you can think of, and it's relatable as a person dealing with those issues in the real world. People that are young, I have to think about this. When I go out into the real world, these are issues I'm going to have to deal with. What is a tool that can help me? That's also fun and exciting and gets me thinking further ahead than my own humanity or my own limitations as a person. What can I see that can help me with those, figuring out those issues and those problems that I'm going to face? And Star Trek shows them that, helps them with dealing with those issues with an exciting edge and showing what the future of humanity can possibly be.
All right, Alan wraps it up before time. Oh, I can see your face already, Andrew. I can see it right now. You do not want me to come to you. But I am coming to you first. Make some sense of this for me, would you please? Who had the better argument for real-world issues? Was it Alan or was it Alec?
Yeah, this is tough, as you can see from my face. I'm still undecided as of this point, basically. So, I had my mind one way, and then another way, and then another way again. So, I don't know actually where I'm going with this, but let's see here. Because they were like dinging each other well with points, but at the end of the day, I would have to go with Alan on this one. I think he was just like able to discuss a lot more issues in which the Star Trek franchise really tackles, and uh, how this could be how these the factors in the show could be applicable in real life situations. So I'm gonna have to go with Alan, but by a very, very, very slim margin.
Absolutely. So I'm going to make this really brief. Alan is getting my point. Due to Alec, I really wish you would have brought up some of the other issues that X-Men have dealt with in not just the movie franchise, in the comic books, in the animated series. It's the entire franchise. You could have pulled from everything. Classism, genocide, all those things have been touched upon. AIDS have been touched upon in X-Men. It's been a very big franchise. I just wish you would have pushed it a little bit more than just dealing with the one thing. And I think that's a little bit to give Alan credit. He pushed you into that one thing, and you kind of kept pushing against that. I said I'd make this short and sweet. Sorry, I didn't. But Alan is getting my point. I just wanted to give a little bit of say on why. So we're going on to the next category. This is definitely hitting all four, guys. There's no knockouts here, so this is definitely a slobber knocker. I'm excited. We're going
Uncharted territory for me.
Especially in nerd fights, right?
Yeah.
So we're going into the category of Marvel. Now, Marvel, due to the Marvel tournament, hasn't come up so much. So we're gonna hit Marvel right now. Let's have a little fun. With the release of Dark Phoenix, what comic book storyline that hasn't already been adapted to the big screen should be? And since we went to Alec last time, we're going to go to Alan first. Alan, 90 seconds on the board. When you start talking, tell me, which comic book storyline needs to get a big screen adaptation?
Well, right now it's perfectly ripe for that is the new Avengers storyline, because you've got with Endgame, you've got the disassembling of the Avengers as they were, and within the real world with Disney acquiring the rights to the Fox characters, then you can now introduce those into this movie universe, into the MCU, and that's with the new Avengers storyline. And one of the things I've always had issues with a lot of these comic book movies is they don't just basically take the scripts from these storylines that are right there and just adapt them for the screen. They take piecemeal things. So they can do the same thing with what they've established in the MCU with the new Avengers storyline. The raft, where they hold the superheroes, was created in Civil War. And Tony Stark was running that facility, so that facility is there. And say you've got a massive breakout from there, so that breakout storyline that introduced the new Avengers, right for this, and to introduce to some new characters who are much needed into the MCU. They can go to break out to get these characters back into there. You've got Spider-Man who can come help out. The new Captain America, which will be Falcon. And then they're in there, and they maybe meet the Sentry, who was inside that facility, and now we kind of undiscover why he was in there. Of course, Wolverine to round him out because they've got to introduce the X-Men.
All right, Alec, 90 seconds on the board. Which comic book storyline needs to be adapted into the big screen world?
So after the events of Avengers Endgame, personally, I need a little break from the Avengers. They broke my heart. They ripped it out and tore it into little pieces and all that stuff. I need a little break. So what I'm going to focus on is more of a personal story in Maximum Carnage. Now, they've already talked about bringing in Venom into the third Spider-Man movie. So if you're going to bring Venom in, why not bring Tom Hardy's Venom? Why not bring Woody Harrelson's Cletus Cassidy into this movie as well in the third Spider-Man movie? You get Carnage, you get Venom, you can bring in Vulture, you can bring in Mysterio, and you can bring in, no spoilers, you could bring in all the other Spider-Man villains into this movie to introduce them closer, and to have that introduction to Carnage that really set the pace for him as a character. He is basically an unstoppable killing machine in this movie. Seeing Peter having to go up against one of his strongest threats, one of his most dangerous threats in this movie, and having the support and the conflict between him and Venom, Tom Hardy's Venom, would be incredible to see. Tom Hardy, Tom Holland, you want to see it. It's going to be great. Throw Woody Harrelson in it. It's going to be a great time. I see the rest of my time.
All right, guys. We have the new Avengers storyline versus Maximum Carnage, a great comic book, but also a great video game. Those who get that reference, I love you. Guys, tell me why your comic book storyline is the one that needs to be a big screen, that needs to have a big screen adaptation. Alec, Alan, This has been a slobber knocker already. You guys got 5 minutes on the board. Whenever you guys are ready to talk.
Now, Alec,
Carnage,
the new Avengers,
Carnage idea.
Easy.
Go ahead.
Hey, the new Avengers. I get it. It's the one that it's too hard not to go for. It's the easy money. But I haven't seen, besides Joss Whedon and the Russo brothers, that any director come in and do. Joss Whedon failed on the second time. Someone come in and take all these characters and really make them work. The Russo brothers, as we know it right now, will not be returning. Who knows what they're doing? So I don't want to see another movie where we're gonna see all these characters. Someone's gonna get the shit end of the stick. With Spider-Man, you get such a much more personal story. You can see Peter Parker really go through one of his first hardest things to go through in terms of carnage, because he would not have seen someone that can kill like this and that can kill so coldly like this, and he can be conflicted with Tom Hardy's Venom, because Venom, even though he's technically a good guy, he's not really a good guy. He's going to bite off someone's head, and Peter's going to see it and have a problem with it. And I want to see that interaction. I want to see the interaction between Woody Harrelson and Tom Holland and Tom Hardy and all of that.
And that sounds great for a Spider-Man movie, but we need to go big, okay? Especially after Endgame, how are they going to go big? They're going to go big by introducing characters that everybody wants in the MCU. They want Wolverine. Everybody wants Wolverine. And the Russo brothers can come back. You back up that truck full of money, guarantee they probably come back. And other directors can handle big team movies. And that's really what we want to see with as far as going to a film to see big epic storylines. We want to see all of these characters. Some of the biggest problems with some of the Marvel movies was when there were singular characters again was how come we've got all these other characters out there that we haven't seen? We have the Avengers, so where are they? How come they're not coming back to hang out and help us out? With this, you've got all those characters coming back plus new ones because we had brilliant endings for Captain America, we had brilliant ending for Iron Man, but we need new blood, and getting in these new characters will be the perfect thing, the perfect storyline to add two elements that they've already seen with the Raft, and bringing in Jessica Drew as Spider-Woman and bringing in the Sentry to have these new crazy threats would be absolutely incredible and big spectacle, which is what we want to see when we go to the movies.
And I get it. More characters would be great. Personally, I don't want to see more characters. I want them to take the characters that they have at the moment, introduce other characters in those movies, in the flow of the story. It'll make it so much more personal. You will actually like these characters a lot more. When you introduce characters in a big team up movie, it is really hard to get invested in them when you're just barely learning about them. Take Quicksilver, for example, in Avengers Age of Ultron. No one cared about that death because you didn't get to be introduced to that. You didn't get to like him. You didn't get to, basically see yourself as him, or however you want to relate to him. With Maximum Carnage, you could bring in the other villains in Spider-Man. You bring in Michael Keaton's Vulture. You bring in Jake Gyllenhaal's Mysterio, because of the fact that there are certain characters that Carnage gets to try to help him, and then basically he turns on them, or they turn on him, and you see Carnage basically go ballistic. You get to see a straight up the fight that we wanted in Venom. You get to see that with Carnage and with Venom going at it, basically going slobber knocker with each other, and you can see. You can see Peter really have to take all of this in and learn this. If you want him to be the hero and the new leader of your team, he has to go through certain life experiences. You got to see a crazy psychotic killer to be a leader of the Avengers, and this is that psychotic killer that he will see.
But with the best way to see characters, to get to know characters, is to see them interact with other characters in new and different, exciting ways. The way we loved the Avenger movies is because we get to see these characters interact in different ways. And now we're going to see a new Captain America deal with Wolverine. No one's dealt with a character like Wolverine in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So they get to deal with this new character in this new way. Luke Cage, what happened to Luke Cage? Well, here he is, and now he's interacting with this Wolverine character, with this Captain America, and with Spider-Man, and how their dynamic is going to work. We're going to learn all kinds of things about what pushes them to the limits, where can they help each other, where can they be mad and pissed off and hate each other, and what their dynamic will be whilst trying to fight one villain, because too many villains, we know, ruins a franchise.
But But the great things about those Avengers team-up movies is that the fact that we got to know those characters beforehand in their own movies. And in other movies, we got to see them interact with each other. And then when you finally got to see it in the first Avengers, it hits hard because you don't know whose side you want to take. Do you want to take Iron Man's? Do you want to take Captain America's? Do you want to take Thor's? You don't know because they're all great heroes. With this, you get to see Tom Holland's. All right. Whew.
Guys, you're not making this any easier on me. I'm just saying. I feel like I gotta be a dad, and you guys are children in the backseat. I gotta tell you, calm down a little bit because you guys got super hyped during that debate.
You get super heated in that one. I'm sorry.
Super heated in that debate. I enjoyed it. We're gonna go to Alan. Alan, 60 seconds close. Tell us why New Avengers should be adapted to the big screen over Maximum Carnage. And 60 seconds on the clock when you're ready.
With the New Avengers storyline, we get some of what we love, the characters that we love, Spider-Man, a new Captain America, but then we also get something new, something that we crave, that we want. Every time we get excited with these new Marvel Cinematic Universes is when something new, but a little bit familiar, is introduced. And with the New Avengers storyline, you get a new team to follow, and a new team to see how they work together, their dynamic. How is Wolverine going to interact with Spider-Man? Spider-Man's never seen anybody like Wolverine, and how they're going to face the new threats that are coming on this world. With Endgame, we lost a lot of heroes, and people are at a loss. Who's going to help us? Who's going to save the day? What bigger threat is possibly going to be out there? With the New Avengers, they get this new team of heroes to help them out and save the day from these even bigger villains or even bigger worldwide catastrophes. And enough said.
All right, Alan, making it short and sweet and tying it in a bow for
like
you,
the
Alec.
prophets.
Alec, tell us why Maximum Carnage should get a big screen adaptation over New Avengers.
You bring up the point of let's see Spider-Man deal with certain things that he hasn't dealt with. You know what he hasn't dealt with? Pure evil. Even in Thanos, he did not deal with pure evil. He dealt with someone who was thinking logically, who had a certain, maybe a bad way of going about it, but he had a certain goal in mind. When he's dealing with Carnage, there's only one thing that Carnage wants, and that's his name, Carnage. He wants to kill. He wants to murder. And Peter has never dealt with that. Peter has never dealt with someone like Venom, who has this internal conflict that he has going inside his own mind, and then having to deal with that with Peter. You get that all in one really small personal story with Spider-Man. With New Avengers, it's gonna get clunky, it's gonna get clogged up. You're gonna like certain characters more than you like certain characters, but the goal is to care about all your characters. And I think with this, you would really come to love Venom, how he's supposed to be loved. And basically, Spider-Man needs his own movie with Venom and Carnage, and that'd be great.
Oh, God, guys. All right, I'm going to make this short and sweet. I got to go first on this one. Listen, I hate that I got to do this right now because one of the characters that I'm going to leave you suspenseful right now. One of the characters that you have named to be named in a part of a movie is one of my favorite comic book characters. And I really wanted to hear you fight for the reason that this needs to be on the big screen. Unfortunately, for Maximum Carnage, that is not who I'm going with. Carnage was my screen name for the longest time. I love Cassidy. He is a demented, sick, messed up person. But Alan hit you with something that you didn't come back from. You didn't really answer it. And the only problem that I have with it is because he said, if you overcrowd a movie with villains, we've seen how it happens. We've seen the problems, and you didn't really counteract that. So Alan is getting my point. I'm going to go over to Matt. Matt, where are you sitting on this whole battle? New Avengers versus Maximum Carnage.
Oh, I was hoping you weren't coming to me, but I too actually three of my favorite comic book characters were mentioned in this, and to see the three of them interact would be exactly what I want to see. So I'm just gonna go short and sweet and say, Alec, you got the point with Maximum Carnage.
All right, we are having one tough of a match. And Andrew, we're going to you with your "oh my God, you're coming to me" face. We're coming to you next. Tell us, you're the tiebreaker. Who's getting this point?
Yeah, that's actually pretty accurate. Oh my God, why are you coming to me for this one? Um, this is tough again. You each hit each other with several points, but by a slim margin again. But this time I'm gonna go the other way and say Alec because you were dinged actually with something about getting to know the characters from the old Avengers beforehand, before they made the Avengers. So I think I would have to go with Alec on that one because because of that particular point that you weren't really able to counter.
All right. So Alex got 2 points. Alan's got 1. And we're going to my favorite question of the match. And no one really knows this that much about me, but I am a huge, I will tell you, huge anime fan. So this is going to be one heck of a match, one heck of a question, a slobber knocker like every other question. And the question from category anime is, what is the most influential 1980s anime series? And we're going to go to Alec first. Alec, which series influenced the entire genre for the 80s?
So the anime that influenced mostly from the 80s in a huge amount is Dragon Ball. If you mention Dragon Ball Z to anybody, they know what you're talking about. They know. I show a picture of Goku or a Super Saiyan because they know what Dragon Ball is. That's how far it's in the popular culture. People that don't normally like anime, you ask them, "Oh, do you like Dragon Ball?" And like, "Yeah, I love Dragon Ball." Boom, you're an anime fan. That's how much it really stuck with the culture. It's a simple story of a young kid who's an alien who just happens to work hard and really dig down deep to accomplish everything that he sets out to accomplish. It's something that everyone can relate to as human beings, of just digging down deep and trying your hardest. And even if you fail that one time, you can always come back and try it again and just do better. So that is why I'm going to say that Dragon Ball is the most influential 80s anime.
All right. And I'm coming to you next, Alan. Alan, which anime series are you choosing that was the most influential in the 1980s?
From the 80s, anime. Are you kidding? I don't have to say any words. I can just make one sound. The Transformers. Give me a break. The Transformers blew up the entire world. It influenced the entire world. As a kid, all the toys. Everybody, every kid I knew, every kid in generations after that had to have a Transformers toy. The Dinobots alone were more influential than anything else. Everything it comes from them. A lot of the other anime, even from the 90s, were about big robots. What were the big robots? They were the Transformers, or wannabe Transformers. Transformers sparked the imagination of every child almost in the entire world. Spawned all these series, many television series, 5 movies, depend on the quality of them or the likelihood of if you want, but billion-dollar movies based off of just one simple anime that really started a revolution with giant robots, cars turning into things. I mean, Transformers is a world. You can say Transformers just like that, wherever you are in the world, and everybody will know, even if they don't speak your language, they'll know exactly what you're talking about. And you make that sound, they guarantee will smile. And that's it.
So we're going to go with a guaranteed smile, or we're going to go with common knowledge of Dragon Ball. Guys, this is question 4. This is for either all the marbles are going to the first speed round of Nerd Fights. What are we doing? 5-minute debate when you guys start talking.
Bro, I can barely tell you what a Dragon Ball is. All right. Dragon Ball, maybe around 2000s in America, at least, people knew what that was. But Transformers, everybody knows what that is, universally throughout the world. There's not a kid anywhere in the world that didn't have a Transformers toy, that didn't have Optimus Prime, that didn't want to be Optimus Prime. Every kid's first vehicle, car they wanted it to be a Transformer. It's synonymous with so many things, so many aspects and ideas and imagination. Transformers, just without a doubt, there's no possible equal to that.
First of all, when you said you only need to make one sound, you made multiple sounds. That was multiple sounds, sir, and I want that to reflect on the record. That wasn't just one sound. Second of all, you might not.
That's
know
a weak technicality.
You might not know what a Dragon Ball is, but I guarantee you find some random 20-year-old, some random teenager, and they know who Goku is. They know who he is because he was created in the 80s. Maybe he might have become more popular, but he was influenced so much from the 80s cartoon that they had to make a second one. They had to make Dragon Ball Z. At one point, they stopped making Transformers cartoons because it just wasn't selling anymore, guys. With Dragon Ball, it's continued to sell. They just put out a movie. Dragon Ball Super just had a movie in the theaters, and maybe Transformers did too, but no one went to go see it. You know, so many people that went to go see. I can't name one person that went to go see Bumblebee, and I went to go see the new Dragon Ball Super movie. Boom. Oh, okay, fine. They made
that one movie. They made that one movie, that one little movie. Yeah, come on, man. Yeah, the Transformers made a movie too. The first Transformers movie, the animated one. Just everybody, people I still know today cry when they think about Optimus dying in that movie. Sorry, no spoilers. And Transformers had what, 5, 6 movies, and all of these other films influenced from them. And they had a TV series, I think, running all the way through the 90s and the 2000s with the Beast Wars, and they even tried to make them all female at one point, and a bunch of different spin-off kind of things from the animated series. I don't think it ever really left consciousness. It might have went down and wavered a little bit, but it never left. There's always been a Transformers animated series. It's still to this day. A friend of mine does the voice of Bumblebee in a Transformers series right now. It's never died, and I don't think it ever will because there's too many things out there. I don't know a kid that has a Goku toy, but I know kids that got Transformers toys. The toys alone are still in the consciousness of the world.
Now, I may not know anybody that voices anybody in Dragon Ball, but I do know people that go and that know this story. This is a simple story that if you look at it on the surface, it's not much, but the fact that it's just a simple story of a young kid who just happens to be an alien who trains in the martial arts and can turn into a giant gorilla. And the fact that they can go and create an entire world around this one series is incredible. You have Dragon Ball Z, you have Dragon Ball GT. Everyone might not like it, but who cares? It was there. You had Dragon Ball Super at the moment that it's going right now. It's gone on from the 80s to now in terms of television, widely known television that's constantly going and has not stopped, has not skipped a beat. It might take a little break, but everyone needs a vacation every now and then. Dragon Ball took that vacation. They came back even stronger with Dragon Ball Super. With Dragon Ball, with Transformers, you have a movie, you have a show. I didn't even know it was an anime until I looked it up, and I'm glad I did because I would have came in here and just said this isn't an anime, and then I would have been looked at as stupid. But it is an anime technically, but it's not really seen as that. It's seen more as a cartoon. It's seen more as an animation show that just didn't that hit in one big movie in the 80s, and it kind of just went away until later on. Dragon Ball has never actually left the world of anime, and it's created fans and casual fans all around the world. You might not know anybody that likes Dragon Ball, but I'm sorry, you need to get cooler friends.
But it's about influence and influential, and you're right. Dragon Ball is a simple story of a boy who transforms into a gorilla. So that's it.
Transformers did not invent that word. Transformers did not invent that word. Put that on the record.
And people still confuse Goku with Ryu from Street Fighter. So give me that. Give me that.
Two different people. Two different people. Goku is so much cooler than Ryu. Just saying. People, you can make, if you make, here's one sound. That's Super Saiyan. Everyone knows that that's Super Saiyan, and it will never die. It's something that just you have to deal with.
People can know Super Saiyan, but they don't know how.
Time, guys. This has to be the funniest match I've ever. I'm gonna go ahead and go to the question real quick before we get you guys closing arguments. Again, what is the most influential 1980s anime series? And Alec, you have Dragon Ball, so please, with your last 60 seconds, explain to us why Dragon Ball is the most influential 1980s anime series.
And don't forget, you have your 1 minute extension still.
Do you want to know what Dragon Ball has influence? 2 words: martial arts. It put martial arts in the forefront for kids. Little kids wanted to learn martial arts because of this, because of the fact that Goku knew martial arts. It's a different, more alien type of martial arts, but it is one. It's a simple story that will live on through the ages of a down on his luck kind of guy who's just not quite there, but he's always willing to come back. He might lose, he might even die, but he will come back and he will succeed at what he's trying to do. It's influenced different shows. You can see certain influences in Naruto, one of my favorite animes of all time. You see the influence there. You see the influence throughout all of anime. With Transformers, it influenced people for about 10 years, and then it just went away until it came back later on because some guy named Michael Bay was able to put a bunch of money into this. So Dragon Ball, it's great. It's influenced all the way. It gave you Dragon Ball Z, it gave you Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball GT, all that great stuff. Brawly.
Kind.
All right. Alan, coming to you. Last 60 seconds. Or could be going into a speed round. The choice is all up to you. Tell us why Transformers is the most influential 1980s anime series. 60 seconds on the board. This is your closing. Go in. Go strong. Let's make sure this is a real slobber knocker. Let's get the first speed round of Nerd Fights.
Transformers influence everyone that saw it. People look at cars and wait for them to transform into robots. People hear that sound and know exactly what that is. It's that ideal of these vehicles turning into robots to help us out. Our best friends are robots, and the constant battle of good and evil. Decepticon, Autobot. You see those symbols. People around the world, it's probably more famous than the Coke bottle symbol. It's the most famous symbol in the world. They see that, they know exactly what that is. People put Decepticon and Autobot symbols on their cars to this day in hope that one day maybe it will transform. If we're talking about influential things from the 80s, Transformers has it down. The only people that wanted to be influential with martial arts, they learned more about that from Daniel LaRusso and the Karate Kid. And that was pretty much it. Transformers was universally known forever because of that 80s anime.
Time.
I'm so happy I don't gotta go first. Yeah. And we're gonna go over to Matt. Matt, make some sense of this for me. Alec, Alan, they got Dragon Ball and Transformers. What do you think?
On a side note, I might just have 2 animes within arm's reach as we speak. And one of them might have fallen in this category. But my personal feelings aside, in this debate alone, the question was, what's the most influential? And Alan got that with Transformers. And he did make multiple sounds. But Alan's going to get the point.
All right, striking it on the record that Alan made multiple sounds. We're going to go over to Andrea. Andrea, where do you see this? Please don't make me vote. I don't want to be the bad guy of the story. But yeah, go ahead and no pressure on that one at all. Andrea, who do you got?
Okay, that was the nerdiest thing I've ever heard in this debates so far. So that I think that's a good sign. Yeah. Based on the arguments, I'm a big, huge anime fan, so I can relate to both of these and you could make arguments for both. But if I had to go on the arguments, I would have to go with Alan as well. There, your wish is granted. Doug, you don't have to vote because I just think that Alan was able to give more ways in which the Transformers franchise was influential. So I'm gonna have to go with Alan in this one.
So I'm gonna explain the speed round real quick. Speed round is definitely different from movie battlegrounds. That's because I want both opponents to be able to actually debate their topic. So we have a 45-second opener. Try to keep it as much to your topic as possible. I know that's kind of hard because you want to get out as much information in this short amount of time. It's a 45-second opener. You got 45 seconds. Try and stay on topic. Then you have a 30-second rebuttal and a 20-second rebuttal. You want to debate? This is where you debate. You do it in your 30-second, your 20-second. That's a 50-second rebuttal. That's a total of 95 seconds. That's longer than an opening round, but just enough time for us to get all the information. Guys, I'm going to read this question twice. First one that gives me their answer goes first. At that point, I will get the other answer from somebody else. You'll have a total of 10 seconds to give me your answer if you haven't given me your answer. But I will read the question twice. Wait to listen to it twice, and then give me your answer. Okay? Judges, if you can, just in case they yell at the same time, let me know who says it first. We'll make sure we're on point with that one. All right, guys, ready? Your speed round question comes from the category of DC. We've had a Marvel question. We had an anime question. We had a sci-fi question. And we had a Harry Potter question. Why not? Let's round this all out with DC. DC's question is, who is the greatest DC villain to grace comic books? Again, who is the greatest DC villain to grace comic books?
Darkseid.
No. The Joker.
Whoo! Whoo! This is gonna be a match, guys. Speed round.
It's like a game of injustice.
This is a game of injustice to the extreme. Give me 2 seconds to set everything else up. Matt, you got the time how it breaks down, correct?
Yeah, we're good.
Perfect. All right, so we're going to the 45-second opener. Alec, you did give us your answer first. So 45 seconds on the clock for you. Whenever you start talking, tell us why Darkseid is the greatest villain to grace the pages of DC Comics.
You know what's better than a god? A new god. And that's what Darkseid is. Darkseid is the epitome of evil in terms of what he wants to do. He's looking for the anti-life equation. That's an equation to get rid of all life. It's something that he's trying to do. He's trying to basically get rid of all life so he can create his own world and be the god to his own world, kind of like similar to Apocalypse, but instead of doing that with a world, it's with a universe. He's trying to do that with he's gone up against the toughest of the toughest in the DC world, and he's taking them out one by one. He might have gotten lost. He might have lost a few times, but he always comes back and always gets them. Darkseid, anti-life equation. He is a new god. Your guy is not a god. That's all I'm gonna say. Boom. See my
time.
All right. It wasn't really much of a concede. I think it was like a second. All right, we'll give him that point towards there. It was a second of conceded time.
Hey,
Alan,
put it on the record.
Alan, tell us why the Joker is the greatest DC villain to grace comic books.
The Joker is the greatest villain because the hero needs a perfect foil. Batman is synonymous with the Joker, and the Joker is the ultimate evil and reveling in that evil in the darkest side of humanity. And that is far more terrifying about a person that enjoys being evil, that really has fun tormenting not only the villain, but everyone around him. And he also has not just poses a threat to Batman, he poses a threat to the entire DC. The Emperor Joker storyline is one of the greatest, where he actually stole Batman's weapons he can use against the other DC heroes, against all of those heroes himself. The Joker is the epitome of evil and reveling in that evil.
Woo! I love it! Speed round on point! Let's go! All right, Alec, you got 30 seconds. 30 seconds, my friend, on the board for the rebuttals. Let's go. 30 seconds when you start talking.
Joker wouldn't be the first guy to take Batman's weaknesses for all the Justice League members. Really, the biggest in that turn, and what you just said, Batman's the bigger villain, not Joker. The greatest villain is in comic books who they have not messed up is Darkseid in the comic books. He's always menacing. He's always evil. He's always a great foil against the other characters in the Justice League. With the Joker, he had his jokey one. He starts out as a jokey character and starts off and has his little jokey moments.
Time.
All right, Alan, 30 seconds on the board. Tell us why Joker is better than Darkseid and why he is the greatest DC villain to grace the comic books when you start talking.
Darkseid is scary once. Darkseid is scary one time. The Joker lasts forever and has through multiple storylines, through multiple heroes, the entire DC universe. Darkseid can be scary one time, maybe two times if he comes back. The Joker always comes back, and he always wants to terrorize. He always wants to kill, and he revels in it. He's always terrifying and always will find a way to come back.
Time.
You guys are wrapping it up quicker. But guess what? This is the quickest rebuttal. This is 20 seconds. This is to get out all the last points you want to make. Make it fast, but make it be able to be understood by the judges. That's just the point that I'm trying to give you, just a bit of advice. So we're going to Alec again. Alec, 20 seconds on the board when you start talking. Darkseid, tell us why he's the greatest.
Darkseid may show up much less times than the Joker, but that keeps him from becoming watered down. He's not a watered down villain. When Darkseid shows up, it means shit is happening. Shit is going down. You do not want to mess with Darkseid when he shows up. The Joker has multiple times to get watered down. He becomes a joke at times, and Darkseid has never, ever been a joke in comics.
Time.
Woo! Alec going out strong with a haymaker, saying that Joker's been a joke in the comics and that Darkseid's never been a joke. So, Alan, Joker, why is he the greatest for DC Comics? And 20 seconds on the board when you start talking.
Darkseid's a big, mean, menacing bully with a one-trick pony. They can't come back through many storylines because there's run out of ideas with him. The Joker always has a new plot, always has a new method to antagonize and terrorize. The Joker will last forever because there's always new ways to be the bad guy. There's always new ways to be evil, and he'll discover what they are every single time.
All right. We're going to cut you at the new ways to be evil. We'll end that sentence right there. All right. Guess what? Andrea, I'm sorry to do this to you. First speed round of nerd fights, and I got to go to you. Andrea, where do you see this fight? And give me a brief reason why you see it that way.
Okay. Again, this is a tough one, as usual, since this is the semis after all. But I think I would have to go with Alan on this one because he was able to really show the versatility of the Joker. He always has new ways, new methods of whereas he really put Alec in a corner by saying that Darkseid is a one-trick pony. So I'm gonna have to go with Alan on this one.
All right, I'm gonna save my vote for last. I am going to you, Matt. If I have to make the vote, I'll make the vote. But I want to see where your head's at because I enjoy making judges squirm. So give me who gets your point and a brief reason why, Matt. What do we got here?
I'm going to start with my brief reason why first. Both of them came out with strong characters, but there was one comment that really sealed the deal, and it was this character runs out of ideas too soon. So, Alan, you get the point and the win.
Semifinals, haymaker of a damn round. Oh my God, you guys went punch for punch. This is nothing to hang your head about. This is probably one of the greatest debates I've seen in a long time. I'm so happy to have both of you in the semifinals. This was a massacre of just our own brains. You massacred the judges. Okay, I'm just saying. You guys massacred the judges. I'm going to go ahead and go to Alec first. Alec, man, you have a KO in this league. That's nothing to hang your head about. You have one hell of a match here. I hope we see you back. How are you feeling? What are you hoping to come back for Nerd Fights? Because you're definitely on the roster, man. We're definitely going to have you back. What are you aiming for? What do you want to do, man? Alec, tell us how you're feeling, man.
A little disappointed, not gonna lie, but I gave it my best. I didn't come out, man. Alan was a hell of a competitor. Gave me everything. My heart was beating every single debate, and that meant that I was having a hard time coming back and fighting certain points. I'll make sure next time me and you face off, that will not happen. I will not have problems fighting your debates. Good luck in this tournament, man. If you win, I'm definitely cheering for you. And man, if you win, I want you. I want you.
All right. Alec making the call out. Alec, do not.
Alan versus Alec 2.
You killed it. We're going to have an Alec versus Alan 2. And we're going to have a bunch of different things. It'll be a championship style game. It's going to be amazing. But let me go over to Alan. Alan, your mind must be blown, man. You're going to the finals. After you thought you weren't going to make it past the first round. You're going to the finals, man, where you could absolutely become the Nerd Fights champion. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good, man. I'm not gonna lie. That was fun. My heart was beating too, brother. Alec, you are the man. I thought I was done with after the Your Snape things, especially when you're talking about the snake hitting him. I went, oh my God, this guy is no joke. He has got this in. It was fantastic, man. You're the man, and you chose my personal favorite villain is Darkseid. So
you chose mine.
Oh man, it was perfect.
I should have went. I should have went with what was familiar.
That's all right. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, I definitely want to see you again. This was a pleasure, brother. This was a pleasure.
Guys, again, Alan, you might end up facing Tony or Sean. Who are you looking forward to fighting? I know both those competitors are really strong. Who are you looking forward to having your next slobber knocker match with?
It's a neck and neck. I'd like to go against Sean though, but it's a neck and neck. They're both really, really amazing, and I'm gonna have it cut out for me. I got to work hard.
Absolutely. And we're going to go over to the judges real quick. We'll go over to Matt first. Matt, you got a sign saying up, you guys killed it, or you something
You
killed
both
it.
killed it.
Oh, you both killed it. There we go. I had to wait for you to say something so you popped up on my screen. But you both killed it. Absolutely. Matt,
that's exactly what I have to say. You both killed it. I have been judging quite a few matches lately, guys, and it's in one side or the other. And this was, there is so many things. Guys, Alec, you may not have won, but there is nothing to sneeze at. I cannot wait to see you two in round 2, and I volunteer as tribute for judging for round 2.
All right. Andrea, how did you have fun in the semifinals, and was your mind blown, and what did you think of the match? There's a bunch of questions I just asked, but let us know what you feel.
This was definitely very, very very, very, very nerdy. And hence you're both in the semis, I guess. This was actually quite fun. Terrifyingly difficult, but fun.
All right, and my thoughts are, for anybody watching this match, please call 1-800-NERD-FIGHTS for any emotional support, for reconstruction of your brain. I'm not held responsible. I'm sorry about that. I will see you guys in bracket number 2 of the semifinals. And I'm so excited, guys. This thing is just going to get bigger and bigger. We're going to have more competitors, and it's just going to be amazing. So for myself, for Matt, for Andrea, for Alan, for Eric, for Alec, we are going to go ahead and bid you guys a great night. And remember, nerds, fight on.